3 years, but I did it. LOL. Back in the middle of December, I found out my wife had been talking to some man she knew from school on Facebook. They had been texting and phoning each other constantly for 4 weeks and had met once for coffee. With a second meeting postponed once I'd found out. She had lied about it once confronted. She carried her phone with her everywhere. She kept clicking off Facebook every time I walked past. She was staying up later than usual to do her college assignment. My wife likes her sleep and rarely stops up after me. She disguised the man's name as a woman's in her phone. I asked her outright, as she had previously told me she wasn't in love with me anymore. Her feelings had changed. I asked if there was anyone else, but she said she didn't have the time to be doing anything like that. This was the most stressful and upsetting time I have ever experienced. I couldn't sleep, didn't eat, lost weight, put my job at risk. My wife at first said it was attention as I didn't give her any. She was flattered by the attention. We had got to a stage where we were stuck in a rut, hardly talking. No affection. When I initially asked her to stop contacting him, she said she didn't want to. She liked him, eventually, because I wanted her to. She stopped all contact. She told me she made a choice to work at our marriage over a friendship, only because I found out. I replied. She was interested in this man. I asked if she fancied him. No, she replied, just an interesting person. A friendship. Weeks later, after struggling through this, I would get depressed and upset. She would roll her eyes and huff and puff. I kept bringing up what had happened. She would say I was giving her all this hassle and grief over a friendship. I have never been a possessive person in the slightest. I said to my wife if it was just a friendship. Why did she hide and lie about everything rather than tell me she was in touch with an old school friend? 2 months later, we are getting on great. My wife is apologetic, hates the fact that I've been so upset. We are very loving, like we used to be. I have told my wife it is difficult to forget. I have quiet days, but am certainly better than I was. What bothers me slightly is whether I can completely believe my wife. She tells me there is no contact, and there hasn't been for a while. He kept sending her messages on Facebook, but she wouldn't reply. I couldn't understand why he would be sending messages, asking how she was after she had texted him asking him to leave it so she could get on with her marriage. I love my wife. If it had been the other way round, my wife says she would have left. She is quite a jealous person. I've been very understanding of the situation. I can see how she may have got into a situation on Facebook. Still hurts very much though. Probably is a wake-up call. Woke up this morning feeling down. Keep having these days. Sometimes I look at my wife and feel anger and bitterness towards her. Facebook is a nightmare. Can't blame that though. She could have got over friendly with someone at work, etc. What worries me a little is my wife cheated on her ex-husband twice. We kind of got together when she was with him. Could call it 3 times. I've since found out that she was talking to another man on Facebook from August to November, and they were texting, phoning each other. She was also sending him picture messages, which is troubling me when I think about it. She says they were just pics of her. Me, the kids, nothing naughty like I thought they may be. This man happened to be one of the men she cheated on her ex-husband with. Also found out she joined a naughty online dating agency. She denied she joined, but I accessed her email. Found her username and password and went into the site. All her details were in there and her mobile number, which shocked me. She said she had no idea how that was in there. All lies. I'm getting annoyed now. I'm typing all this with my wife sitting 5 feet away. Meeting for a coffee is as far as they got. When I found out about the texting, she texts this man to say I had found out. All he said was, "Found out what?" That we met for a coffee. She won't let me have password to Facebook. She will let me have a look when she's on it, but no more than that. I've got a good way of calling people's bluff. I've done it with my wife a few times. She lied, but I've got a good memory. Certain things come up now and then. I probably need to move on, but I deserve better than having this done to me. Personally, don't think my wife should be texting and phoning an ex, especially at midnight from our bed. If it was nothing, she wouldn't have been doing it on the quiet and sneaky. My wife kept saying they were only talking about what you said. Then a little later, she said it was flirting, etc. My wife has been in floods of tears today. She is now really worried that she has ruined our marriage. I've never seen her so upset. It breaks my heart. My wife is still very upset. She is constantly telling me she is afraid of losing me, that she has made a terrible mistake. She is worried she has now ruined the best thing that has ever happened to her. This afternoon, she told me that she was finding it difficult to look at me. Very embarrassed, ashamed and disgusted with herself. I asked her last night about her passwords to Facebook and emails. She gave them all to me. No issue whatsoever. She admits she was sucked in too easily. Really thought we had grown irreversibly apart. Admits that the blokes were probably looking for a leg over. It was all about attention, no more than that. Nothing would have developed from these friendships. Probably a strange thing to say, but I feel better now that my wife has finally shown a lot of remorse. She is very attentive and genuinely worried that I won't want her. She can't understand how I'm so laid back about it all while she is so upset. I told her that I'm all cried out, nothing left. I think we will be okay as long as she is completely honest and no more secrets. I did say I am trying to believe her, but some things I'm struggling with. Just an update on where we are. We are getting on very well most days. Lots of love and affection. Sitting on the sofa. Cuddling a lot. Never did that before. What concerns me a little is that every once in a while, she will come out with something like she's constantly walking on eggshells around me. She deleted all the men off her Facebook account. No one of interest. She doesn't go on there very much anymore, as I can't then hold it against her. It seems when she gets stressed, she throws things at me. I said only yesterday that I'm the one that's been hurt and I'm trying to forget and not have to think about what's gone on, but she said she's waiting for me to bring things up or start snooping again. I've stressed to her that I don't think too negatively at the moment and certainly don't feel the need to snoop. She sets me off with this kind of talk. My good friend from work thinks she is still in some way or other contacting this bloke. I don't, and that things will always be up and down for me and my wife. She tells me to get out as I can do better. A month or so later, still not believing her. I called her bluff and made out I downloaded some software and found some pictures on her phone. She admitted she had taken pictures of herself but hadn't sent them to this bloke. He had asked her to send some. She told me they only talked about his marital problems. She used to work with him about 14 years ago, but she said she never considered it, but it was in her head to take some pictures as it was a turn on. I still don't believe she didn't send them. Just the other day she registered for some mystery shopping website and had to pay £40 to register. She denied all this, but I found the email thanking for payment. Eventually she admitted it. I can't seem to get it into my wife's head that I'm partly suspicious anyway, and things like this don't help. To make matters worse, today I clicked onto her Facebook account that she lets me access, and sitting in her inbox was a message from the second man just saying hello. She couldn't stress enough that it was the first message she'd had from him since January, and there had been no contact at all. She sent him a message back, "Please don't contact me again. Should I worry about the lies that keep popping up?" I considered sending this bloke a message from my wife asking why after all this time he feels the need to contact her. I asked her if receiving the message stirred anything up inside her. To be honest, whatever she tells me I probably would question whether true or not. We are quite loving with each other now. This was one of the problems that we had. I used to be loving, but she moaned, complained, criticized over the years, and the loving went away. I still have the odd look on her Facebook account and email. Not happy about that, but makes it easier for me to deal with. Every couple of weeks or so, I get down and paranoid, all in the wake of my wife's online affairs. The last couple of days, if I'm tired and stressed, I get paranoid and think that my wife is sat on her laptop at home contacting the other man. Why do I feel like this? Up to my wife's betrayal. I'd never been like this. It's an awful feeling. The first online affair, which developed into texts and phone calls, lasted 3 months and finished in November. The second online affair, which developed into texts, phone calls, and meeting him once for coffee, finished in December. My wife thought they were harmless at the time, but now admits they were wrong and should never have happened. She saw how devastated I was and how I now suffer mood swings, finding it very hard to trust her as she has lied so many times, especially when I have asked her to lay all her cards on the table. She still lied. I'd then find things out and confront her. She'd then admit to them. I hate feeling like this. We fell out today as I accused her of spending more time being preoccupied with the computer than communicating with me. Only a couple of days ago, I was having one of my quiet days. My wife asked me what was wrong. I said to her that when I'm down, which is too frequent for my liking, I need reassurance, that I'm low on confidence, self-esteem, don't feel very good about myself. My wife always sighs, huffs and puffs, quite insensitive at times. She says I need to get over it and move on. What I tried to explain to my wife was that these quiet times, I have no control of them. I said that as a couple, we never comment other people like our friends do. My wife's first husband used to look and comment all the time about other women, which my wife found offensive and insulting to her. I would feel hurt too. We just keep it to ourselves. So, I asked her why she would feel the need to have an emotional affair with 2 consecutive blokes. She laughs at the term emotional affair, thinks I've been reading too many magazines and taking too much notice of internet forums. Every now and then, she refers to them as friendships. Unbelievable. She doesn't think I'm hurt by what went on, but just had a slap in the face. I am still looking at her emails and Facebook, even though I feel bad about this. I don't want the urge to do this. Just want to move on, finding it very hard. My wife was always known as a natural flirt before we met. likes attention but denies this very much. She is young looking 38-year-old and thinks she is now starting to look her age. This sets alarm bells ringing with me as I'll be worrying some bloke will compliment her and that's her weakness. Or certainly was a few months back. I just find it hard to enjoy life and our children at the moment. Very emotional period in my life. Need some more advice? I really am struggling. Doesn't help that my wife works a lot of evenings and weekend and we don't get to see each other much. Things just don't seem right. Even the physical side of our relationship is one way. She never initiates or shows any interest other than when I initiate, and she likes that. Maybe I'm reading too much into all this. My wife has answered a lot of my questions. Not sure if there is still stuff she hasn't told me. Still got a nagging doubt over pictures she sent to this first bloke. She said they were innocent, but I called her bluff and said I'd found pictures on her phone of her naked. She eventually admitted to this but promised she'd never sent them, just took some. As the idea was put in her head by the first bloke, she found she couldn't send these. She lied about all this one day. That's why I'm still dubious about certain things she says. I have asked her to be as open as possible. No more lies. It's just not worth the hassle and upset. When I found and confronted my wife, I asked her to put all her cards on the table. She said she did, but I kept finding other lies out. Couldn't understand why she just couldn't tell the truth and help me get over the hurt. We seem pretty good nowadays, but I'm still on edge when I hear of all the affairs going on at my workplace. Fills me with anger. We went out for a meal last night and had a lovely time. At the end of the meal, I told my wife I love her and want to trust her again, that I hate feeling the urge to have a snoop now and then. She said I have nothing to worry about, that she made mistakes but wouldn't let me down again. I said that because of the constant lies, it makes it difficult to fully move on and that I'm sure there are other things that she hasn't told me, which either I will find out eventually or she will admit to in time. Almost 6 months after finding out about my wife's 2 online affairs, she has now admitted sending pictures of her private parts to another man. The first one, when I say admitted, I called her bluff for the second time and she finally admitted what I thought had happened. She had on Facebook, texting and phoning this man. She used to work with him but had no contact for the last 13 years. I noticed months ago that on the itemized phone bill there were quite a few picture messages. I thought to myself what she could be sending him. She told me it was pictures of her now and of me and the kids, etc. I never believed this as there were quite a few. I wondered if she had sent him nude pics. Of course she denied this and swore it was nothing but family pics. Weeks later I brought it up again and asked for all cards on the table. She promised me it wasn't what I thought. At a later date I called her bluff and said I'd checked her phone and used software to see what pics were on there. I hadn't. Wouldn't know if it were possible. She became hesitant and went quiet. I pushed it and said I had seen the pics and wanted her to tell me what they were of. She then said she had taken some nude pictures of herself in the mirror, but didn't send them as it's not something she would ever do and I know her better than that, etc. I still was adamant she had sent them. She said he made a comment about sending him some pics and it put the idea in her head to take some but definitely not send some. After asking her numerous times, she still denied sending any. She got really upset and felt ashamed that she'd even taken some. A few nights ago, the issue about the pics was still bugging me. She asked me what was wrong, so I told her that I was bothered by the pics she took and still thought she sent them. Again she said she hadn't, so I called her bluff again and said I'd looked at the pics again and the dates on there were the same as the picture messages sent on the itemized bill. How do you explain that? I said. She couldn't. Finally, her face changed and I said you did send some pics but want you to admit it. She did admit it. She was really ashamed. I asked her why after so many months of not trusting her lies and betrayal, she would still lie about this. She said this was genuinely the last thing outstanding that she hadn't told me. She thought and hoped I would never find out and would be forgotten and not broached again. I asked what were they talking about for her to take such intimate pictures and send them to another man. She said they never talked dirty rubbish. And he suggested sending some pics. She said it was exciting and seemed a good idea at the time. After sending the pics to him he said nice, got any more? She said no. I said to her he probably showed his mates and they had a laugh about it. Her face wasn't on any pic. I asked how they fizzled out. She said he was out with his mates one night, drunk, and he texted her to say he wanted a good time. Did she want to meet for one? She didn't reply. I could probably believe it, but so many lies beforehand. My wife says this was the one thing she hoped I never found out as it was so wrong. If roles had been reversed, my wife says she would have left. No second chances at all. My wife thinks she has caused irreparable damage to our marriage. I don't. I love her. She loves me. She admits she has made huge mistakes and promises that she will never let me down again. I hope not. I'm very tolerant, not happy about what's gone on. Sending pics to another man is a disgrace. I'll just have to get over it. My wife struggles to see why I've took so much crap and still want her. She thinks it's because I don't want to be on my own and without the kids. I am considering texting this man under my wife's name and letting him know my husband knows about what went on and about the pics. Does he still have the pics, and would he send them to me, as my husband thinks the pics are of us together and I want to prove otherwise? Probably not the right thing to do. It won't change anything. I did some snooping and found she had ordered underwear and other things, which was hidden in the back of her wardrobe. Checked her emails and she had joined 2 different online dating agencies. The one she added her phone number, which she still denies. She lied about everything, said they were friends. The problem I have now is she is so ungrateful, doesn't appreciate anything I do. Doesn't want cards or presents for birthdays, etc. Doesn't want me to do things for her. I've told her many a time. She never engages me in a conversation but talks at me. She can't accept any form of criticism, always someone else's fault. Even during the time I had found out about her EA, she would blow up and I would end up feeling it was all my fault. She turns everything around. It's infuriating. She says she feels like she has to phone me at work to check in, so I know where she is, etc. The other night I ironed her work stuff and she said nothing. When I ask why, she never says thanks. She just says, I never asked you to. I ironed a load of stuff last night and text her at work to say I had done all the ironing, but it wouldn't be appreciated, lol. I jokingly added on the end that she can thank me in kind. She ignored the text and then came home moaning that she wouldn't reply to that text message. She said everything comes back to that and I'm selfish. My wife never shown any interest in bedtime activities unless I initiate it. She says the longer it goes without, then she doesn't need it. I reluctantly have to ask her for how's your father, or text her at work suggesting when she comes back maybe we can have a little play. I don't quite ask it like that, but I always end up feeling dirty and on edge as if I'm suggesting something wrong. Shouldn't be like this, should it? She won't have it that normal couples do these things. She just thinks it's my opinion and I should stop trying to turn her into something she's not. We ended up having an argument and she ended up telling me to duck off to someone else. Get it out of my system with someone else. She suffers with depression but refuses to go to see a doctor. I have loads of grief all the time. It can be over absolutely nothing. Very difficult living conditions. She has been really nice over the last couple of days. We'll see how long it lasts. If she gets stressed, I get the brunt of her frustrations. I like to think I'm a modern man. I do more than my fair share around the house. I'm that you would call a really nice person, even if I say so myself. I just want a quiet life. A little bit after a year. Moved forward to a week ago and she tells me that her feelings for me have changed. It's not me but her, etc. I asked her if there was anyone else, but no was the answer. Eventually she admitted she was in contact with the same bloke again. Been thinking of him ever since. She said she tried with me but things weren't working out. Unfortunately, my wife never discusses feelings or problems with me, even though I am really easygoing and a good listener. I was able to read some of her text messages and pathetically childish they are. She's never loved anyone like she loves him, etc. Utter rubbish. I've told her she is living in a fantasy world, having those kinds of nonsense feelings for someone she was at school with 25 years. He is married with children which he won't leave. We have had numerous conversations about her throwing our marriage away, going into financial ruin, children being broken up, etc. But she really likes him, wants to keep in contact. She sits reading his messages and texts in front of me downstairs in bed, etc. Well, 2 days ago, after numerous chats and lots of intimacy between us, she tells me she is willing to give it a go with me. Can't say whether she will contact him again or not. She wants to do it a day at a time. I can't ask her if she is contacting him, as she blows up and says that all these questions will push her away. She has always been really possessive, which is the complete opposite to me. She said she's not bothered who I talk to, etc. I decide that I don't want to be on my own and start looking at dating sites, and all of a sudden, she can't stay in the same room as me. She also looks at my phone and blows up over a conversation I had with a female former co-worker. She has now said she can't accept I might try to contact other women. I want to give it a go with her, but know I'm setting myself up for a fall again. I'm an idiot. I love her, but she can't help herself. Any thoughts other than I'm a prat for staying with her? This is how it is now. I am moving out in 3 weeks. We have told our children, family and friends. There is no going back now. I have been so reasonable up to this point, putting up with her crap, but no more. Everything is set up for my move, for distraction. I have registered with certain dating sites. It helps me. I've resigned myself to the fact that even though my wife has feelings for me, she still wants to pursue this fantasy person. This won't change. I won't be giving her another opportunity to hurt me. Took me a while to sort out, but best thing going forward. Story 2. The first month. It's been 1 month since we separated and maybe we'll divorce. Lots of fights and explosive temper that brought us to this point. We have been together for 4 years already. I have to agree that we both were at fault. We separated 4 months last year, but back then, the only thing we did to work on the marriage was to treat us better instead of working on our personal and marriage issues, and we ended up separating again 6 months later. Sadly, we still love each other, but we couldn't stop the disagreements and constant fighting. We tried counseling for 1 month but didn't give it too much credit because we trusted on our own will to change, and that was a total mistake. As you can see, we are really proud individuals, independent and self-achievers, and sometimes it's hard for both to ask for help. I love her with all my heart and I don't want to get divorced. She is my love. My wife after all. I even started going to counseling the next day we separated because I knew that I needed to work on myself if I ever wanted to reconcile and for the marriage to work, or if it wasn't meant to be, it'd help me in the future. The first days after the separation, I truly believed that the only thing she was waiting before filing was for some financial issues to be resolved at the beginning of May. She wasn't. Last week she confided to me that she was not sure about divorcing and wanted to wait some months. I let her know that I wanted to reconcile, but that also I was going to give her time since I wasn't ready to either divorce or getting back together since I was working on myself. I was relieved to hear her say that because I felt in limbo just waiting to get served. However, she made sure to clarify that she didn't want to give me false hopes. She was still thinking about divorce and going on with her life, but at the same time she couldn't imagine her life without me and our marriage as a failure. She said she was at peace right now, happy. I don't know what to think about this. At some point I just feel that after some time wounds will heal and we will be able to reconcile. Of course, I am going to give her time, but whatever, I am not being needy, nor calling her every day. She needs peace, I am giving it to her, and every time she has needed me, I've been there for her. That's our story. Any insight or words of wisdom would be great in this time of sorrow. And sorry for the lengthy post. I need to address all those issues before I can think about reconciliation. A man doesn't not change in 1 month. But I am working on it, even now more than ever. The first time we separated, we were so sure we were going to move back that in a way we forgot about our issues. We just enjoyed the courtship and the happiness of treating us better, and was immature and premature to move back. Now I realize that I wasn't taking marriage seriously. At times I even thought about divorce as something possible. I used to say, everybody divorces, and like you say, it was the easy way out. I see the reason why people marry 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because they cannot make a commitment to anybody but to themselves, and they see marriage as a formal relationship, not like a sacred union. Thank you again for listening and for saying all those words of support. They really hit home, and thank you for your prayers. Believe me, I am praying too, and I am not a religious man. Suffering this way can turn a man's life around, and I am grateful at the end. I have been going to B&N since we separated. I buy a tea and sit there for hours reading self-help books. It has changed a great way my look at life. I don't like to read too much, also just for school. Somehow those books get me. The point here is to learn from our past mistakes and avoid doing them again. That's the reason why I am grateful to life and her. Because of this situation, I am able to better myself through this. If we would have gotten back together, I wouldn't have suffered this much, and much less working on myself. I am planning to ask her to meet in 2 weeks to talk about everything I have realized due to counseling and soul searching. I have learned a lot about myself and why I reacted the way I reacted. Still, this meeting is not intended to reconcile or push her to come up with a decision, but to share with her my thoughts and show her that my actions speak louder than my words. I feel better about myself and I am starting to be more mature. But whatever, I am just 27. We both had made stupid and immature mistakes throughout our life together, but just because it wasn't just my fault, I played a part in all of this. Our relationship, work, school and friends' frustrations turned me into an angry person. Sadly, she had to endure my frustration and anger these past months. I had depression due to changes in my workplace, and bad luck trying to find a new job amongst other things, and her patience ran out. Since then, I have realized that things were fine the way they were, and everything that was going on wasn't the end of the world. If I wanted, I could have been happy, but humans sometimes are blind. I'm 27 and in grad school. The only thing we can do is to wait and let go with love. If it's meant to be, it will be, and be at peace with each other. It's been a week that we have not spoken on the phone. We have emailed us back and forth on Wednesday, but just to talk about non-sentimental stuff. How much is too much contact? I just don't want to keep contacting her because she asked me for time and space. It's been just 1 month since we separated. Not a long time, but for you girls in this forum, if you needed time to think about the relationship, would it be helpful to hear about your husband, or is preferable to have no contact? No, I miss you. No, I'm thinking about you. No talking about. I am planning to ask her if it would be okay to meet next week to talk about all I have learned in counseling. We haven't seen each other in a month. It's amazing how in a couple of days, somebody's mood can change, or even the perception of the situation. Now that I read my own question, I would be able to answer it. I was really troubled that day, anxious. But I am at peace right now. Letting everything in the hands of God is the best thing. I am already working on myself. And at the end, she isn't even ready for divorce. That says a lot. Not everything is lost, and I am happy for that. I told her that I wanted to reconcile, that I loved her, that I wasn't expecting a response anytime soon and would respect her decision. I told her everything I was doing to work on myself. She responded that she needed time, that she didn't want to give me false hopes, but that at the same time she wasn't ready for divorce. My wife will be graduating from college, and since so far there hasn't been a real conversation about what's going to happen because she needs time and space. We haven't even spoken about me attending her commencement ceremony, or anything. I mean, she said it wasn't even okay with her to talk on the phone. For the moment, she is still really hurt, and she said she was focusing on school and work. I guess the idea of thinking about our marriage still hurts to even think about it or even talk to me. She needs to be by herself now. I pretty much sense that she has cut me off from her life for now. Do you think I should go, or just send her flowers? When it comes to our own situation, sometimes it's really hard to make a decision. I would not even bother her for anything else, but this is her college graduation. She still loves me, but she says everything she wants is to be at peace after so much stress and drama in our marriage. I haven't been the best of husbands, and she hasn't been the best of wives, but I still feel that we can work it out. Love isn't gone, but just we are not crazy about each other like we were. Months later, we are getting divorced, and you know what? It is not the end of the world. I am not saying this to make you feel bad, or to rain on your parade. Our marriage is totally different from yours. What I meant by saying that it's not the end of the world is true. Months ago, I thought I was going to faint. My life was worth less than a penny. I was the worst of husbands. I was never going to be happy again when I found myself separated and alone. I couldn't cope with it at all. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel and will work towards reaching the end of the tunnel. To all of you that are in the early stages of separation, whether you will divorce or reconcile, hear my words. It will get better. You will start to live your life, but this will happen only if you want it to happen. You can live your life needing your spouses to enjoy life. And you know what? This will serve you in a huge way if you are to reconcile. If you don't, it will make you a better person either way, and your future significant other, your family, even your future ex will notice your change. You will be proud of yourself like I am now. When we are not happy with ourselves, we are in pain, and we cause pain to those around us. Remember that. I read somewhere that a day of sorrow, anxiety, poverty, and despair will teach you more than a lifetime of apparent happiness, richness, and peace. Work towards bettering yourself by going to counseling, reading self-help books, and forgiving yourself and your wife. We all are human beings who make mistakes. Live the now, because the past and the future do not exist. The past used to be a present, and it just lives through memories. Relive only the happy memories and stop hurting yourself by going over and over the painful ones. The future is not written yet. It doesn't exist, and what we do right now is what will determine our future. It's not worth it if you worry too much about it. Do you know how to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Lastly, accept that your wife is an adult with a mind of his, her own, and whatever he or she decides will be what's better. Most of the times, there is two at fault. Equally or not, but it is not only your fault. Stop tormenting you. Remember those times that you showed him, her, what a great spouse you were, instead of just remembering when you were mean and hurtful. Those good times sometimes are even way more than the bad times. I am keeping all those beautiful moments with her. I will always love her, but it is a love that doesn't expect anything in return. I learned a lot from her, and she gave me so much happiness. I wish her the best in life. And don't hold any resentments. I have learned that those who don't love unconditionally, family, friends, spouses, will end up feeling regret. Regret turns into anger. And the only one that will house that anger is us. Do you want to live your life like that? I don't. Whatever your spouse decides, accept it and move on. If they decide to reconcile, continue working on yourself. You haven't reached the finish line, but you have just started the race. If you are to get divorced, continue working on yourself. You haven't reached the finish line, but you have just started the race. It applies for both. I hope this helps somebody. It has been my life for the last 2 months and a half. I've changed for good, and at the end what I have learned is to do always what's right and fair. I thank God for giving me this experience because I see the light now. I'm not quite there yet, but at least I know what to do now. I am not lost anymore. I have my bad days, but I can happily say that they are way less than at the beginning, and I look forward for what's to come, and to enjoy my present life. My present imperfect life, and I embrace it with arms wide open. I wish you all the best, because even if some of you are in the darkest moments of your lives, this can be the preamble for a better you. Decide to stop hurting and start your change. A better life is ahead. I mean, it is already here. You are alive, aren't you? You are breathing. You are healthy. Maybe you don't have a clear mind, but try with all your being. Trust me, it will get better. Our story lasted less than 5 years, and I don't regret it at all. In the end, I am a better man than the boy she met more than 4 years ago, and I am sure she is a better woman than that girl I met more than 4 years ago. We just grew in different directions. But those good times were awesome, and I will keep them in my heart. We have forgiven each other at last. My advice is to avoid having any resentment, hard feeling, or not letting go. Life continues, sun rises, flowers bloom, and we are alive for a reason. I am sure that I had to live through this to realize many things about myself. And I am very happy. Throughout my life I will keep on making mistakes, but at least not the same ones from my past married life. After 3 months and being in the middle of a divorce, it was meant to happen. I believe my soon-to-be ex has started to date again. We prepare for this. We know it will happen, but it has affected me greatly. I didn't think that it was going to affect me that bad. I mean, our relationship is over, but actually knowing that she has already moved on within 3 months is hurting me so much. I cannot even get myself wrapped around the idea of dating again. I am still too tired. Not a lot of interest on looking for somebody now. Days later, today I feel better. I have accepted that, yeah, I feel bad. I felt jealous and let down in a way. I spoke with my counselor and he said the same thing, that it worries him if she is moving that fast. The divorce isn't even finalized yet, and I agree, that's exactly the same reason why I am not looking for a relationship right now. I have to make sure that I want to be in because I like the girl. Not only because I want her to keep me company and fill the hole I feel. I am not ready yet. Anyway, every time life throws me a curveball, I fall, but I get up again and continue. Life's problems after this don't seem that difficult anymore. I am just at peace, and you know, at the end I love her for all the happy moments we shared. I am not in love with her, let's make that clear. And this means that I want her to find happiness and love. That thought makes the others go away. It's hard, but at the end she is no longer in my present. She is my past, and it will stay that way. Weird, but now, the longer I think about it, the more I understand that it's not that I miss her as a person. I just miss her company. That's the reason why I am not ready to have a stable relationship with somebody. Loneliness shouldn't be the prime reason to find somebody. First, I have to get used to be by myself and function at the same time. I guess it has taken me more than a week now, and although the whole world crashed last Friday after the news, I now see it as another test from life to make me stronger. I just came back from a long run, but really long, and I feel good. I used to run a lot before I met my soon-to-be ex, but I left it just because I guess became comfortable. I even gained a few extra pounds. Not now. I am in the best shape in 4 years, and at least keeps my mind occupied. I am also treating me with small pleasures like buying the type of good food I liked, pampering me and rewarding me in a way for being so patient and working on myself throughout these past months. I feel different, wiser, more patient, and sometimes at peace in forgetting about my situation, having fun with friends. Even if this breakup was horrendous, something good came out of it. A new me. The news about my ex plus the moving really affected me during this weekend, but now I am getting used to the apartment and it seems like I am beginning to feel like home. Yesterday was the first night I spent here. Yesterday was the first time since my separation that I flirted with a girl naturally. It wasn't forced or anything, don't know. Like when I met my ex, kind of a feeling, just natural. I don't know if it happened to you, but after my divorce I felt like the ugly duckling. My self-confidence was non-existent. I asked myself, and sometimes I still ask myself, what can I offer to a woman? I may be alone forever. Thoughts about never again having a significant other ever crowded my mind. It's been 5 months since this whole ordeal started, but yesterday, I guess, was one of the greatest feelings of self-accomplishment I have felt in a long time. I may never see the girl again, or maybe I will, but what's more important is the feeling of being alive. I felt in control of my emotions, confident of what I was doing, making her laugh, feeling relaxed, looking straight into her eyes. Looking straight into a girl's eyes were something I couldn't do. I wasn't confident. I was shy, didn't know what to do or say. But not yesterday. About dating, I don't think I am ready, or maybe I am, it's just that I haven't tried. My divorce and pre-divorce, when everything was going pretty bad, took a toll on me. I feel that these past few months alone have taught me so much. Time will tell, I guess. Well, I just made the transition from life after divorce to the dating scene. For me, well, sort of. I am 28, but whatever. It's been 1 year since my heartbreaking divorce. It took me a whole ducking year to recover from it and even thinking about the word dating. Now, after moving to a different state and with less than 1 month of being here, I am already having 2 dates. The first was fun. I liked the girl. She was cute, but we all know that feeling that tells you that it will go nowhere from the moment one gets to know the other person. She is, however, very nice, somewhat fun, and even asked me if I wanted to meet next week, and just for the sake of it I am. Date number 2. I don't know what happened to me, but I met this girl about 2 weeks ago. And honestly, it was love at first sight, and even more when we started talking. We are so compatible. And seriously, I don't exaggerate with compatibility or idealize anybody ever. We started talking and talked for a long time. We have seen each other a couple of times. Not as a date per se. And again, we just hit it off amazingly. She is funny, gorgeous, kind, cute, thoughtful. My dream girl. So far so good, and we are going on a date in a couple of days. Here is the problem. I am very excited, but I am also very scared. I have been out of the market for such a long time. My divorce damaged me horribly. I became a different person. Now, I am very well. I know I shouldn't think about the past, believe me, but I am scared. More because I really like this girl. She is wonderful. She is the first girl I have been interested in 1 year. Half a year later, now I have realized that I am doing so great that I am not even in need of a girl to make me feel better. To feel like a man, to feel loved. I am having an affair with myself. I haven't closed myself to relationships, but I just know that it will come eventually. When it is time, like everything in my life. I am finally working full-time again. Started 2 months ago. Great job, good pay, nice co-workers, and now I feel like the person I used to be when I was the happiest before meeting my ex and during the first year of our marriage. I am so happy I moved to this state, so happy to have met great friends, and so happy things are going so well without even planning it. I moved to this state with a car full of clothes and hopes, and 2 camping chairs. I gave nearly everything to her. And now I have my own place. A job, furniture, income, and feeling great. My friends, the storm doesn't last forever. Just look for shelter and wait patiently. Be strong, trust me, remember. You don't need anybody to make you feel better. It is all in you. My comment: what do you think about this positive story? An example of how life can be good after divorce. You start by loving